host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise, a top 100 psychic, speaker, and author. Off air, be sure to connect with Halley at halleyelise.com. And now, the Halley Elise Show.
Welcome, everyone. Nice to connect with you again. Earlier today, I was giving a presentation, and it was funny because as I was trying to think of what was it that I was going to speak to this group on, it had to be something inspirational, motivational, and yet I didn't want to do the same old, shake it up a little bit. And as I was contemplating what was going to actually be the content, I was thinking about Halloween all of a sudden and the idea of dressing up in masks and costumes. And you're thinking, but wait, Halloween is not until the end of the year or at the end of the month. I'm jumping ahead. Why would you use that? The truth of the matter is we wear masks all the time. And that's what came to me. And if you're thinking, what are you talking about? It's really elemental. We take for granted that each and every day we wear a mask, depending on what it is that we are doing. For instance, we put on the mom and dad mask. Whoops, hit the mic here. Or we put on the spouse mask, or we put on the worker mask, or the owner mask, or the mechanic, or the bus driver, or the makeup artist, or the CEO, et cetera, et cetera. My point is, though, you are not always wearing the same mask 24/7. And we've been doing this since we were really little. Ever hear your parents say, oh, my little Susie is such an angel? Or my little Jenny is such a terror? Or I have a little monster. Now, obviously, these are just names that we use to describe the activity that our children are experiencing or exhibiting certain behaviors. And we assign them names. I used to call my daughter the brat child. I still call her that on occasion, depending on what she's doing. It's usually when she is not doing anything wrong, but she's poking a little bit. And to bring her back to the present moment, I tease lightheartedly and call her my brat child. And we laugh and we move on. My point, we wear masks. Most of the time, they're automatic. Most of the time, we don't even think about them. And yet, we seem to have different people renting space in our brain rent-free. Think about this for a moment. If your boss has an expectation of you, then you're going to do yourself a favor to live up to that expectation. You are going to walk in with a particular attitude, a particular demeanor. You have that mask on, that role, that hat, if you will. And hopefully you pull it off. Most of us, when we are shy or we're tired or we're stressed or there's just overwhelm taking place in our world, but we have to interact with the outside world, we go ahead and put on a mask. We jump into that role, into that suit that identifies who we are in that moment and who we have to be. And as I said, a lot of times it's automatic. We get up in the morning and we step into that role. We put that mask on without thinking about it. What if we did? And this is what came to light today. What if we did think about the mask we put on before we even get out of bed? We're in bed and we're contemplating our day, and perhaps we have something big to do. Perhaps it's a wedding day. We already have in our mind what it is that we believe is going to be the best way to interact with our world. What if we take it a step further? What if we allow ourselves to see ourselves in that role before we get out of bed and we make it as magnificent as possible so that the mask that we're putting on is not the ordinary mask, but it's a step above? Give a little thought to that. The whole premise here really is we have the ability to motivate ourselves. We have the ability to inspire ourselves. Too often, we get caught up in the things that make us sad, that make us hurt, and we don't know what mask we're wearing. We just know we're hidden behind all of the masks. Depression is one of those things where you have several masks in front of you, and you're not quite sure which one should you put on, which one fits appropriately when you're feeling as if the world isn't going the way you want it. What if, for instance, everything is good in your world except money? You have family you love, you have a roof over your head, you do the thing that you love for a career, or perhaps you stay at home with your family, or let's say you're wealthy beyond expectation, and yet you still can have financial issues. You could have somebody suing you. You could have people that owe you money. You could have too many things that you've decided you wanted and then realized after the fact, I didn't quite have enough. The point that I'm trying to get to is even then, we need to take a look at what mask are we wearing. And are we wearing it just for the outside world, or are we wearing it for our inside world? How is it that we can take that inner superhero, that inner motivated, strong, healthy, confident individual who has everything, and wear that mask? I have a few teachers who over the years have said, fake it till you make it. And a lot of people think that's lying. But is it any different than when we put on a mask to make somebody else happy? Or we put on a mask to get through a situation? I think it's the same, truly. But the difference, fake it till you make it, means you are acting as if you already have the thing or the situation or the person that you want in your life in that moment. That means that you are in alignment with the thing that you desire. And it also means that all of the chatter from other people and even from your own mind is put on hold. It no longer takes up that rent-free space. A lovely friend of mine who's no longer here used to use that expression a lot, rent-free space. And it seems to be so apropos in so many situations. We have something that we get concerned about and we let it roll over in our mind over and over and over and over again until it's not just that one thing, but it's many things. It's taking up space. For what? We're not getting compensated for it. I think we need to start looking at that inner mask. What does it look like? What does it want? What does it desire? And use that as our starting point, not based on what society says, not based on what an employer says, not based even on what a family says, based on what feels right, what looks right. Now, please don't take this as a free run to do whatever you want, whenever you want, and not consider anybody. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I am suggesting, though, is when something doesn't feel right, you say no. When someone is imposing, you say no. If you are somebody who is a caregiver, then naturally you wear that mask on a regular basis, even when you're off duty. And that means you're not taking care of grandma today, but you're taking care of the neighbor, or you're not running the children to school or to soccer or what have you, or from a different perspective, you are not micromanaging your adult employees. You're allowing them to do their thing. You step back. You say, okay, what is it that I have to do? What is it that I need to show the world? Revert back to what I said earlier. Before you even got out of bed in the morning, give some thought to, what mask do I want to put on today? What is it that I want to show the world? What aspect of myself can I reveal? And if you're finding that you're one of these people who says, I just don't know how to do that, then think back to a time that you did. At some point in your life, you would have accomplished something, or you would have had a joyful moment, or you would have had a phenomenal experience. Connect with that. Remember that. Tap into that image, that sensation, that knowing, that awareness that you've done it before. Because once you do that, once you recognize you've done something before, it is so easy to do it again. I'm going to give you a little example here. Many, many years ago, and really, truly many years ago, I'm thinking, wow, it's more than 2.5 decades. I had wanted to teach over at a university. My credentials were good in respect to my learning, in respect to what I had the letters behind my name, but I didn't necessarily have teaching experience, not in that venue. It was more free-form environments, programs that I would attend or that I would give, that I would instruct. But I thought, what the heck? And I reached out to the administrator over the university and said, hey, what do I need to get in? He told me. I said, thank you. And I did it. And it's funny because something came up recently for me that I thought, well, I don't know how to do this. And what came up was the memory, but you had this experience before. You didn't know how to connect with the university. You made a phone call. You asked questions. You investigated. And then you followed through and you did it. And now I'm in a similar situation where I am beginning to investigate something, beginning to make phone calls, beginning to reach out so that I can do something that I would like to do that I have no concept of. I can't tell you the number of people that come to me who say, but I just don't know what I want. And they truly mean it. They know what they like sometimes, but not all the times. For me, I'm really definitive. If you ask me what I like or don't like, you got an answer right away. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, no wishy-washy. I will balance many things, but not when it comes to what I like or what I want. Very clear on that. If you say vanilla or chocolate, I'm going to tell you chocolate every time. The point that I'm trying to make here is, if you don't know what you want, how is it that you are supposed to get it? How is it that it's supposed to make your heart happy? How is it that you're supposed to wear that mask to be able to orchestrate those things coming to you? One of the easiest ways to figure out what you want, and I've said this multiple times on different shows, is write down what you don't want and then write the opposite. So for instance, I don't want to go skiing down a hill naked. Okay, I'm being goofy here. But what would the opposite be? I'm clothed. I still don't want to go skiing down a hill, perhaps, or I do want to go skiing down a hill. That's outlandish, I know. My point is, figure out what it is that you don't like, that you really know you don't like, and look at its opposite. Something about being able to just say, no, this does not work for me, and then recognizing that it doesn't work gives you insight to what it is that you want. You find that being desensitized to the world in many ways no longer exists because you're going to your inner world. You're allowing yourself to really move within, to take a look and understand better what desire that you have on the deepest level needs to be satiated. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. And if you want to give us a call for a psychic reading, for life directions, it's 888-565-1470. Once again, that's 888-565-1470. Be right back. This is your empowerment psychic, Halley, Elise, one of the top 100 psychics in America. For over 30 years, I have offered psychic readings, programs, spiritual guidance, and other life skill techniques. As our lives have become more complicated, we often reach for answers. Who are we? Where are we headed? Are we pointed in the right direction? In addition, we often are concerned for our loved ones. I have helped thousands of people navigate their life circumstances through different modalities of spiritual and intuitive guidance. Call me at 561-755-2166 and allow me to further explain how I may assist you in clearing the path of yesterday so today and tomorrow will be a success. Call me at 561-755-2166 or visit my site, HalleyElise.com. That's HalleyElise.com.
You have been listening to empowerment psychic Halley Elise, a top 100 psychic. She is your connection to all things spiritual, psychic, and empowering. Your guide to peace and wisdom. For a private appointment off air, call 561-755-2166. 866. Now, back to the Halley Elise Show with Empowerment Psychic, Halley Elise.
Welcome back. I was just thinking during our commercial break that a lot of times people say to me, well, you're a coach. I really don't see myself as a coach, I'll be honest. Coaching to me means I give you a specific plan of action and I check on you and I do the whole rah-rah thing. That's not me. I do mentorship. I do have a psychic apprenticeship program, and with that, I give you lessons to work with to bring forth your own abilities. Oh, that reminds me, I need to get back to somebody. Just had a little moment there. What I'm trying to get to is, if you want assistance in making your life stronger, better, I can help you do that, but I don't do it because I tell you what to do. I do it because what comes through is from above. It is not from me, it's through me. And I hear information that can help you move forward in your world. I have to share this because on this same lines, I have a client who came in the other day, and I usually see her once or twice a year. She'd come in, she had found some tapes, yes, I'm dating myself, some cassette tapes from when she had come in. And then she had found some things that she put on her phone. Anywho, she listened to part of it, and it was funny because she listened to part of it, and she's like, oh my gosh, that happened. Oh my gosh, that happened. Oh my gosh, that happened. And then for a couple of days straight, she said every time she got into her car, her phone would connect with the car and play her parts of different readings without her touching anything. She took that as a sign to come on in. She scheduled an appointment. She came in, and one of the first things that came up in her session had to do with her business. Interestingly, as it is that even a word, interestingly? Have to think about that for a moment. Interesting enough, let's go that route. She was right in the process of making some very huge changes in her business. One of the first things that came up addressed a major concern that she had. It's funny when you listen and you don't judge how things can show up in your world. The reason I'm sharing this is because I do a lot of empowerment. I do a lot of work that has to do with motivating you to help yourself. It doesn't mean I don't give you psychic information. It simply means it's delivered in a different way. The way that I see this truly is, I'm not God. I am not some guru. And who else said that? Anthony Robbins, something about not being a guru, but I'm not Anthony Robbins either. What I'm trying to get to is, if you come in to see me, I want you to get the most out of your time with me, which means to give you as much information as possible, not only as far as future, what's to come in. I would like you to have information about right now. How do you make now as good as it can be? How do you transform something going on in your world so that it's better? Whether it has to do with a familial issue or a health issue or a monetary issue, it doesn't matter. You should be as powerful as you can be. And what I started to show with earlier was about how we wear all these masks. A lot of times we wear masks because it makes other people happy. We stay in relationships because we don't want to hurt the other person, or we think our family is going to judge us, or we're afraid about losing money. Does that mask serve you? See, I've done a 360 here, folks. I do that a lot. I go from one thing, I come back. What I'm trying to get to truly is, you have a purpose. You have an energy. You have a presence. You have a reason to be here. I'm not saying that to be nice. I'm saying that because I know it from the depth of my soul. And for as long as I can remember, since I could speak, since I could walk, I have wanted other people to see themselves in the best light. I was thinking about way, way back. I couldn't have been more than 4 or 5, something like that. My grandmother lived on the Grand Concourse in the Bronx in New York. And we were going down the steps in front of her apartment, which were massive. I don't know if they're really massive or I remember them as massive, but I do remember there were a lot of stairs. There was an older woman who was not real steady. She was trying to maneuvered down the steps and she was holding something in her hand. And I asked my grandmother if I could go help her. And she says, sure, dear. And I go running down, little me. It wasn't a thought about having to stop doing what I'm doing, which is enjoying my day with my grandmother. It was about, I see this lady and she looked as if she was not having an easy time of it. And I wanted to make it easier. This is something that I've been doing since I can remember, as I said, whether it's with an animal, a plant, or a person. And I know that's like, wow, one end of the spectrum to the other. But the truth is, really, if I saw a plant that wasn't doing well, I brought it home to make it better. If I saw an animal, I brought it home. There's lots of stories about that. What I'm getting to is my mask has always been, how do I connect with other people to show them their own magnificence? How do I connect with other people to help them be who they need to be? Whether that's content, whether that's successful. And really and truly, each of us has a label for ourselves. Doesn't matter what anybody else says. Doesn't matter what mask someone wants to put on us. We have our own masks. As I mentioned earlier, that inner mask being seen on the outside. What's yours? What is it that has been with you for as long as you could remember? Did you want to sing and be on stage? Did you want to swim in the ocean? Did you want to do charity work? What is it that is your mask that perhaps you're not wearing? Or it's there, but you only get to take it out once in a while. Perhaps give some thought to how do you move beyond where you're at and use that mask now. We live in a world that is uncertain. I think that might be the best word to use in this moment. We're constantly looking at chaos. We can't forget to look at the things that are lovely as well. I believe that when we walk out the door and we see a flower in bloom, we should notice it. If there's a curly tail or a flat tail lizard, we should notice it. The point is not to be so busy, again, with that material, that content, taking up rent-free space in our brain, that we don't observe what is immediately around us. I think really all this comes back to being in the present, allowing yourself to focus on what's important to you, what's important in this moment. We all have some sort of expectation of the future, some sort of goal, something that we want to look forward to or we hope will happen. We can work towards that, of course, and it's important to have some sort of vision as to what's coming next. By the same token, what about now? How do you feel now? What are you doing for you now? I spoke with someone recently that I am very fond of. And this gentleman seems to have a terrible time of getting himself out of, I'll say, the mud. His mask is, let me show the world that everything is perfect. And I wish I could be that person. But he doesn't do anything to actually wear the mask that he has. He's one of those people who has a multitude of masks that he shows the rest of the world. But he doesn't actually look in the mirror and see what mask he has or that he needs. If that's you, if you can relate to that, take a few moments, just sit down and breathe and go into your head. Go into your mind's eye and ask yourself, what is beautiful that I can bring into this moment? What is funny? What would make me feel better than I feel now? Or better yet, what would I like to do tomorrow that's different that I've done today so that I wear a different mask? All of this, when I talk on the radio, often sounds as if it's too simplistic. The truth is, it doesn't have to be difficult. We have people with all sorts of crazy illnesses, and they run to the doctor, and they have a lot of medicines that they use to end up with more illnesses. What if, instead, they actually use the whole concept of mind, body, spirit? You go to the doctor, you get evaluated, you find out what's going on, you say okay to the medicine initially, and then you work on the other levels. You work on it by getting your mind clear and focused on what it is that you want in this moment. You start to understand why it is that you're feeling this way. What brought this on? Where was your mental state? Where was your emotional state? On a spiritual end, do you feel connected or do you feel separated? What mask are you wearing? You always have a choice. Now, obviously, we don't actually have Halloween every day. It would be kind of fun if we went ahead and ate candy all the time and dressed up in costumes. I don't know how productive we would be if we did that. By the same token, we could choose how we see ourselves and how we show ourselves to the world. Matter of fact, we do, but a lot of times it's subconscious. Allow yourself to really look inward. And again, if you feel that you're not clear on what that is, what it looks like, write down what is not right so that you can look at its opposite. Life is supposed to be lived. It should not be difficult. It should not be a struggle all the time, truly. And for those of you who are saying, but you don't understand, you'd be surprised. We all go through trials. We all go through periods of time where we're thinking, oh gosh, why am I doing this? What if we go through saying, what if it's good? What if it's better later today or tomorrow? Thank you for listening this evening, for tuning in. We'll be back next week, and over the course of the next couple of months, have some very nice guests coming on. Have a great week, everyone.
Remember to tune in every Tuesday on WNN at 9 p.m. for more peace, inspiration, and psychic phenomena with empowerment psychic Halley Elise, Top 100 Psychic. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff,